What does that even mean, Bowers Game Corner?
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another game review and a special Kickstarter review. And today I'm very excited to check out Leaders of Euphoria. Choose a better oppressor from Overworld Games. This is for 4 to 8 players. Take about 15 to 35 minutes to play, and it's for ages 12 plus. So Euphoria is a popular game from Stonemaier Games, who's one of my favorite publishers of all time. I've liked nearly every single game of theirs that I've played. I liked them a lot. They did Scythe, they did Between Two Cities, Viticulture, all that sort of stuff. Overworld Games, I don't know how this happened, but they took the Euphoria license and they redid their popular game, Good Cop, Bad Cop, which is also one of my favorite games of all time. But they tried to fix a lot of the problems with the first game in this game. Did they succeed at that? Let's open it up and I'll tell you what I think about it. Alrighty then, we're going to take a look at what you're going to get inside of Leaders of Euphoria. So before we get started, I do want to mention this is the promotional copy I have in front of me, so take everything you see here with a grain of salt. So in Leaders of Euphoria, you are going to be breaking up into 2 teams. You'll either be on the red team or the blue team at the beginning of the game. Now, one person who is on red is going to be the leader, and one person who's on blue is going to be the leader of the blue team. And the objective in this game is to try and kill the opposing leader by shooting them twice with a ray gun. But along the way, there are some twists and turns. Now, if you're familiar with Good Cop, Bad Cop, this game is very similar to Good Cop, Bad Cop, but it's somewhat of a redoing as there are some unique things in there, and I'll be sure to mention those when they come up. So we'll go over the components, and then we'll get to the gameplay. So component-wise, we got our ray guns up here. They're nice. These ones are little standees, and you'll be able to pick this up as an action and point it at someone and potentially shoot them next round. The next thing that we have here are going to be these cards right here. You get a whole bunch of these. You might notice that there's numbers in the upper right-hand corner. That just tells you whether or not you're going to include this in the game depending on your player count. So if you have 5 or more players, you'll always have this one in, so on and so forth. Now, when you first deal out the game, you're going to make sure that you deal out these 2 cards separate, because if you ever get both these cards in front of you at the same time, you automatically win the game. And obviously, you don't want that to happen at the beginning of the game, well, because that would be broken. So you're actually going to do 2 separate dealing phases. It sounds like it's complex, but trust me, it's not. Next, you're going to have these cards right here. These are going to be your item cards. I believe they're called artifact cards in this, and these will do a wide variety of things. So we'll go over a couple of them so you can see them. Interrogate up to 3 recruits. Each recruit you choose must belong to a different player. So that means you're going to be able to flip over 3 people's cards like this, and I'll show you how that works in a minute, but it's a very good one. Next, Stick of Encouragement. Use when a player targets you with a ray gun. Take that ray gun, the Stick of Encouragement. I like the tongue-in-cheek humor there. You got Fossils. Use when you are shot. You are not banished. The player holding the ray gun drops it and cannot take another action this turn. And I'll tell you about banished in a little bit, because that's a big change from Good Cop, Bad Cop. We have Ear Microchips. Choose a Wastelander. They are no longer a Wastelander. I'll tell you more about that in a little bit. And the last one, take a ray gun from any player and give it to any player other than yourself. And there's a whole boatload of these, and I believe they are all unique. I'm pretty sure not one of these are alike. I don't think I remember recalling any of them two being the same. So, next, you're going to get this card right here. And this is really nice because this is going to show you exactly what you do on your turn. It goes through all the turn phases, and it's also double-sided. So, when you first start the game, you are going to have 3 cards in front of you like yourself. So we'll just pretend that we're not the leader. So, bing, bing, bing. We have 3 cards in front of us that were dealt out. We get to look at these, and remember what order they are, because once you put them down, you can't look at them again. So let's see. We have a blue, we have a blue, and we have, oh man, we're all 3 blue. So we would be on the blue team. Whichever color has the majority in these 3 cards, that is the team you're on, unless, of course, you have the leader cards. Let's just pretend that this is our hand. So we had the red leader and 2 blues. Well, that would mean we're actually on the red team, because obviously if you're the leader of the red team, then you're always on that team. Last but not least, you get the first player marker, which just will tell you that you were the first player. So let's go over a mock turn so you can see how this works. So first thing you're going to do is, number 1, artifact phase. You can do this. This is an option. You don't have to do it. You can discard all the artifacts you were holding and then draw a new one, which is great because if you've used your artifact, then you can just draw one every single turn, which is one thing I really like about this game, because in the original Good Cop, Bad Cop, it took an action to draw one of these. So you had to like flip up a card. Not the case so much now. So next, give. You can give one of your artifacts to any player. So you can give someone on your team, or hopefully on your team, an artifact that could help them out. So next, we have phase 2, take action. You get to do one of these on your turn. So the first one, interrogate, and that is just you view one face down recruit. So let's just say one of our opponents was over here, then we could go ahead and view this secretly, and we'd say, oh, look at that. He has 1 red. So we know now 1/3 of what he is, and that would be our turn. So very simple there. So the next action is use an artifact. So I mentioned you could get artifacts for free with this one as part of the artifact phase, which I really do like. But to use the artifact, you're going to have to expose one of your cards. So obviously, in this case, we don't want to expose our red leader, so we would expose this one right here. So that would be a bit of information for other people, but at the same time, we could also get information or do something super cool because we have used an artifact card. And as you can see, it's got a little symbol there to tell you that you have to flip over a card. Next, you can arm yourself with a ray gun. So you have to expose another one of your characters, and obviously with this one, we probably would want to do that once again. And we grab a ray gun, and you have to immediately point it at whoever you want to point it at. So let's just say, I think that player is probably blue or something. I don't know. You can point at anybody. Just because you're pointing at someone does not mean you have to shoot it, though. So, oh, stupid felt table. So 2 more actions. Next, shoot. Shoot the player you're targeting and drop your ray gun. That takes a whole action. And no, you can't pick it up and then shoot it. You have to pick it up one turn and then shoot it the next turn. And I'll tell you about what happens when you get shot in a second. Last but not least, you can hide, which means you just hide one of your exposed followers. Boom. And you're saying, why would I possibly want to do that? Everybody knows it's blue because there are cards in here that will allow you to shuffle and mix this all up, and other people will be, mixing cards around and maybe swapping cards, doing all sorts of stuff like that. So last but not least, phase 3, target. If you're holding a ray gun, you target. So when you pick it up, you target it, or if you want to change your target at the end of a turn. So let's just say I pointed this last round, and at the end of this turn, I want to change it. I might go, all right, I feel you're on my team now, so I'm going to point this somewhere else. So what happens if you get shot? That was what we came up with. So if you get shot, first thing, when someone shoots, they put the gun back in the center of the table. So let's just pretend this guy got shot over here. So let's see what's going on. He's going to reveal all of his things. So boom, boom, boom. He's also going to lose his artifacts. So he is dead. He was on the blue team, and he was dead, which is good for us, because as we mentioned, we are red. Now, he's not out of the game, though. In the original Good Cop, Bad Cop, you would be out of the game. He is not. He actually flips his card over, and just like that, ha, 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 he is now a Wastelander. So he flips over all of his cards. Now, this is a mechanism that I really enjoy. I'll mention it more in the pros and cons, but this speeds up each and every game, because as soon as you have a Wastelander, Wastelander cannot be eliminated from the game. Like, he's... I guess you could get double killed. I'm not sure how that works. But anywho, the Wastelander, his objective to win is either to A, get both leaders in front of him, which is going to be exceedingly difficult, or B, finish off one of the leaders of the group. So either finish off the red leader or the blue leader. So especially Wastelanders like honey badgers, they just don't care. They're here to shoot everybody. And the great thing is, they're going to grab guns and they're going to shoot people, because even if they shoot the wrong person, it doesn't matter, because then they have another Wastelander on their team. So I really love the Wastelander concept, especially with larger groups, but that's something I should probably say for the pros and cons. So pretend like you didn't hear that. But anywho, you're going to continue to do this until someone has both leaders in front of them, in which case they win the game by themselves, or until either one of the leaders has been shot twice, or the other leader has been shot twice. Now let's pretend I got shot. We didn't go over that example. So let's just say I got shot. I reveal all my cards. Bam, 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 bam. Not very good. I flip these 2 over. And now I have a huge target on my back, which means the next time I get shot, I lose the game. Blue team wins. Or if a Wastelander shoots me, then the Wastelander team wins. But that, in a nutshell, is how Leaders of Euphoria is played. Alrighty then, Leaders of Euphoria from Overworld Games coming to a Kickstarter near you very, very soon. Be sure to post that Kickstarter link down below. What are my final thoughts? Let's go over the pros. Let's go over the cons. First, on the con side. Still, along with the original Good Cop, Bad Cop, there's player counts where things can get wonky. It's not a deal breaker, but there's certain player counts that are better than other player counts. I personally like it at 8 the best. I like it at the highest player counts because that really spices things up. It's not a bad game at 4, but I don't know. 4 is just one of those numbers where it's incredibly competitive. There's a lot of amazing games to play at 4 players, so I don't know if I'd really recommend it at 4 players, but once you get to the higher player counts, it gets a lot better. Next, another comment I have with the game is that you still have some of these situations where you're like, I'm not quite sure what happens here because this card got switched over here. And there's so many unique cards. Like, this is one of the reasons why I love Good Cop, Bad Cop, is because there's so many unique item and artifact cards to use, but that also can sometimes create, like, these weird situations where things happens, and if they wrote an FAQ, it might be, like, 2-3 extra pages onto the rule booklet. It's just one of those things where you kind of have to go with your gusto and be like, I think this is how it works, which is going to annoy some people. Another con that I have with this game is that the theme doesn't really come across that much. I feel like the Good Cop, Bad Cop theme actually came across a little bit more. This one, you know, it's just dystopian future, and there's blue guys and there's red guys. We don't know who's bad, we don't know who's good. But honestly, it's a big group social deduction game, so theme, yeah. Any other cons that I have with this game? I'm trying to think. Last con I have with this game is that it kills another game for me. I guess that's a con, but not a con of this game. This kills Good Cop, Bad Cop for me, personally. I love Good Cop, Bad Cop. It's one of my favorite games of all time. I will play it at the drop of a hat. If you ever see me at a convention, you're like, hey, let's go play Good Cop, Bad Cop. I'll be like, yeah, I'm in. I love that game so much, and this completely replaces it for me. It really does. Leaders of Euphoria, Choose a Better Oppressor is one of the best large group games I think I've ever played. And what do I like so much about the game? Well, first and foremost, in order to do that, let's go over what I feel like it fixes from Good Cop, Bad Cop. Now, in Good Cop, Bad Cop, there were a lot of equipment cards, and I love the equipment cards, but some just felt so incredibly powerful, and by having these really powerful cards, it would extend the game out a little too long. This should not be a 35-45 minute game. It just should not be. It doesn't have enough going on, in my personal opinion, to be a game that long. They fixed that in this. I feel like some of the equipment cards, I feel like they're slightly tuned down just a little bit, which is great, but the main reason that they fixed this problem is by adding the third team of the Wastelanders. And I love the Wastelanders as a team because it really speeds up the pace of the game, because the Wastelanders, as I mentioned in the middle part, they're honey badgers. They don't care. They're here, we're just going to start shooting people. They're going to start doing crazy stuff, because the bottom line is they're already out of the game. They're playing with house money, and they're just shooting wildly. So let's just say that a leader pops up. They want to shoot that leader because that's how they win the game. Let's say, no leaders have popped up. They grab a gun, they're going to shoot somebody next turn because they're either going to shoot the leader, which actually is kind of bad for them, or if they don't shoot the leader, they're going to turn somebody else into a Wastelander. I really like the concept of the Wastelander. I also like the artifact phase a lot, where you can discard and you can immediately draw. It just means that you're always going to have an artifact card in your hand. You're always going to be able to discard and get a new artifact card, discard and get a new artifact card, and I like that. Artwork is good. Honestly, Good Cop, Bad Cop is one of my favorite games of all time. This took Good Cop, Bad Cop and fixed a couple things that were nuisances for me, and by doing that logic, it's a slam dunk. So, Leaders of Euphoria, Choose a Better Oppressor. If you like Good Cop, Bad Cop, or if you kind of like Good Cop, Bad Cop, I feel like this is a must bag. It's a great game. But here's my thing. I don't feel like you need both on your shelf. I really don't. I feel, I think it is a Good Cop, Bad Cop killer. I really do. So, Leaders of Euphoria, Choose a Better Oppressor. I am just all in on this one. Love this game. Can't wait to see what they do with it in the future. And it kills Good Cop, Bad Cop for me, which I feel like is a crazy thing. Leaders of Euphoria, Choose a Better Oppressor, definitely one you're going to want to check out if you like bigger group social deduction games. If you enjoyed this review, please be sure to click on that subscribe button down below in the comments below. Let me know if you could add one attachment to your car that is incredibly illogical but awesome. What would you add? For me personally, I would like to add helicopter propellers. Just stuck in traffic, but granted my car's really short, so actually I would probably, I'd hit cars next to me and I would probably, oh my gosh, I would be a mass murderer. It's terrible. Just give me a coffee maker, like a Keurig, I guess. Let me know in the comments below, what weird attachment would you put on your car? And as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.